Okay, the most important part about making sushi is preparing the rice after it's been steamed. We have the nishiki that's been boiled out. It's fully cooked at this point and it's hot. We need to cool it off and we need to give it a certain level of moisture and seasoning. Make sure you have a good, clean, sanitized table. If you're at home and you don't have a stainless steel table, I would say use like a sheet pan or something metal. It being metal is important because it'll help absorb a lot of the heat. In other words, the table is going to take the heat away from the rice. Just remove the pot. Okay, so spread this out. If I don't do this step right now, what you're going to have is overcooked, unflavored, dry, glutinous rice. Which, honestly, I've been to a lot of sushi places and that's kind of how it turns out. Spread it out. This is sushi seasoning. I buy this pre-made. If you don't want to buy this pre-made, you buy rice wine vinegar, add some sugar, salt, and a little bit of spice, and that's sushi seasoning. This is cold. While I drizzle this onto the rice, it should cool the rice. Go a little bit at a time. You can make the rice too wet at this point. Do a little drizzle, and then mix it in. Mix it, spread it. Again. Mix it, spread it. And again, in addition to cooling this off, moistening it, it's going to add flavor. It's going to add the salt, it's going to add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of that tang from the rice wine. I think 3 little drizzles will be enough for this. I'm looking at it and it looks like it's going to have the right amount of moisture. So I'm going to stop. I don't want it to be too wet because then the sushi moves around too much. I really feel like the texture of this should be packed, but if you really, really tried, you should be able to separate an individual rice grain. But it shouldn't be that easy to do. Okay. So, see how it's a little bit more packable? Right? Okay. So, we're gonna let this cool for a minute. And once that's done, you could start rolling your sushi. Once the sushi rice is made and we have everything prepped, we'll start doing rolls. I'll show you how to do a regular roll, and then I'll show you how to do an inside-out roll. I usually wrap the bamboo thing in some plastic, or else it gets sticky and these really can't be washed. So that goes down. Here's a piece of roasted nori. That goes on to the bamboo sheet. Try not to get that wet at this point. We're gonna wet it later. Whenever you're making sushi and you're touching the rice, you have to have wet hands. So you wanna have a hand bowl. So you're constantly getting your hands wet. Okay, so you take some of the rice, start putting it down. Constantly wetting your hands. You want to spread out a really thin layer, making sure that it's even the whole time. It's easier to start out even than to level it out. A little bit here, a little bit here. Get it leveled. Okay, once you have the rice down, start putting the vegetables. Here's a scallion. Do some red peppers. Do some carrots. We do some enoki mushrooms. And some cucumber. Okay. Once everything's in there, we want to take this and get it right about here. So you use your thumbs to kind of hold everything in place, and everything is going to come like an ocean wave. Okay, so, before we do that, take some of this water and kind of like an envelope, we're going to moisten this to get it wet. All right, and then up and over, squeeze. You want to squeeze that. Lift this up, then you want to go in with this kind of motion and like really tuck it in there and then roll.
What the hell?
Okay?
How to do that?
So we'll get this sliced off.
Serrated knife for it.
Yeah, use a serrated knife. Okay, so I'll put this piece over here.
Schlossberg?
Yes.
Where's the meat?
Oh, that's so pretty.
We're making veggie rolls. Okay. So for the inside out, okay, for the inside out, we need a half of a piece of nori. Are you still rolling? We're only going to be using half of a piece of nori. Okay, so we're going to cover the entire piece with rice this time. In a thin layer. I would definitely try to do the regular roll before the inside out because these are a little more difficult. Try to like level this out like this. Okay, so at this point you can do sesame seeds. I'll do all three. Okay. Okay. So we'll do a little layer of the white toasted sesame seeds. Then we'll do a little layer of the. I'm going to leave a little space here where I'm not going to put any. Do a layer in the middle. Hit my head real quick. Okay, so this needs to now go upside down on this. And then we treat it basically like a regular sushi roll with the scallion, the cucumber, red pepper, carrots, and some gnocchis. Okay, so I'm gonna slightly wet this part over here. Okay, now we need to hit, this part needs to hit exactly here. Okay, so over, squeeze, and then really put pressure on and roll. Okay. So again, so this piece will go here, then the rest of this will go like this. All right, that's the inside out roll. Cool?